She was abandoned, starving, and forgotten, left to wither away in an empty pasture. But the moment I saw her, I knew I couldn't walk away. What I didn't expect was how saving her would end up saving me. This is the story of Grace, the neglected mare who transformed my life forever. Stay with me. This journey will touch your soul. The pasture stretched for miles, its fence falling apart, overgrown weeds swallowing the once tilled soil. It was the kind of place you'd drive by without a second glance, but for some reason I couldn't look away that day. Maybe it was fate, or just curiosity, but I slowed my car, squinting through the midday sun. That's when I saw her. She stood alone in the far corner, her frame bony and frail, her coat a dull patchwork of brown and white, barely clinging to her ribs. Her mane hung in tangled clumps, and her head drooped low, as if she had forgotten what it felt like to hold it high. A fly buzzed near her sunken eyes, but she didn't even flick her tail to swat it away. My heart clenched. I pulled over and got out of my car, ignoring the overgrown weeds scratching at my ankles. "Hey, girl," I whispered, my voice soft. She didn't move, just glanced at me with a look so hollow it stopped me in my tracks. She wasn't just neglected. She was forgotten. I spent the next few days trying to figure out who owned her. The neighbors told me the property had been abandoned for years, and the owner had skipped town, leaving her behind. The thought made my stomach turn. How could someone just leave a living, breathing creature to waste away like that? I couldn't stop thinking about her. I'd visit every day, bringing her fresh water and whatever food I could find, but it wasn't enough. She needed more. She needed a real chance. The day I called animal control was the first step toward changing both our lives. They confirmed what I already knew. She was severely malnourished, dehydrated, and weak. But there was still hope. They arranged for her to be transported to a rescue center, and I followed the truck the whole way, her frail frame swaying with the bumps in the road. I kept whispering to myself, "She'll be okay. She'll be okay." But I wasn't sure if I believed it. When we arrived, the vet's assessment was grim. "She's got a long road ahead," he said, "but she's a fighter. If you're willing to help, she might just make it." I didn't hesitate. "I'll do whatever it takes." The next few months were a whirlwind of care and hope. I visited the rescue every day, learning everything I could about horses, how to feed her properly, how to treat her wounds, and how to build her trust. At first she was skittish, flinching at every touch, but little by little she began to open up. I named her Grace. One day, as I brushed her coat, now starting to regain its shine, she leaned into me for the first time. It was subtle, just a slight shift of her weight, but it was enough to bring tears to my eyes. She was learning to trust again, and so was I. Bringing Grace home was the best decision I ever made. I spent hours rebuilding the old barn on my family's property, turning it into a space where she could finally feel safe. Watching her roam freely, her head held high and her spirit renewed, was like watching a miracle unfold. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. But Grace didn't just heal physically. She healed me too. Before I found her, I was drifting, unsure of my purpose or where I belonged. Saving her gave me something to fight for, something to believe in. She taught me patience, resilience, and the power of love in its purest form. Today, Grace is unrecognizable from the fragile mare I found in that forgotten pasture. Her coat gleams in the sunlight, her eyes are bright and full of life, and she gallops across the fields with a freedom that fills my heart with pride. People often tell me, "You saved her life," but the truth is, she saved mine. Grace reminded me that even when the world feels empty and broken, there's always something worth fighting for, someone worth saving, and in saving her, I found the missing piece of myself.